Then we should shut off Muslim immigration to the UK, right? We totally agree.
I think that all religious fundamentalism is bad, and if you take that logic, we should also not allow evangelical Christians into the UK either.
Hold on. So hold on a second. Hold on. That's funny.
My favorite retort. I love it. I love it. Hello, my name is Liz Ashley, and welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to be talking about some Christian nationalists who are just getting wrecked in the marketplace of ideas. So there are a few clips going around that recently that I just love. And then we're also going to talk about some bills that are not as great, that are really bad. And what that has to do with Christian nationalism. So yeah. Hello, welcome. If you're here and you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Anything helps, really. I am trying to get fully monetized, which means getting 1,000 subscribers. So if you could help me get to 1,000 subscribers, I am like almost there. Like, it's very exciting. If you could help, that would be amazing. So first, we're going to talk about Jordan Peterson. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this because it was just honestly nonsense. And I just think it's funny because Jordan Peterson has lost all relevancy, and I really appreciate that because he's a joke, and I feel like it's so obvious. I don't understand how people ever took him seriously or thought that he was some like intellectual. There's a few different rabbit holes that I've gone down online. There's a few of them, and one of them, like the vegan pipeline, and so I saw those debates, and a lot of that, Jordan Peterson was like the carnivore person. That's where I got introduced to Jordan Peterson, so I've always never really took him seriously. But I also went down the atheist pipeline online. But Jordan Peterson goes on Jubilee, right? And he kind of did what Sam did, and it's like one Christian against atheists, because Jordan Peterson notoriously like hates atheists. He goes into this so defensive. He's like so combative about stupid stuff. Like, I think the point that just reminds me of how much Jordan Peterson is just so dumb is he's like, what do you mean by believe?
Believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
And it's like, yeah, because this is not, like, he's not an intellectual. Like he's not an intellectual. This is just stupid. Like, why are you, well, you know what believes mean. You know what believe means. Shut up. Like, shut up. And he's just like, oh, I never said I was a Christian. Oh my God. Oh my God. The best part by far is when this kid goes to Jordan Peterson, because he's not like cordial, because Jordan Peterson's being insane. And so I think he like matched that energy pretty well. And he was like, Jordan Peterson's like, well, you're not much, are you? And it's like, guys, well, you're not anything, are you? I loved it. It was great.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
Don't be a smartass.
Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Let's talk about Charlie Kirk. So Charlie Kirk is someone I hate. He goes to colleges with, is it TV USA? Whatever, I don't really care. He goes to colleges and he tries to like debate people, right? And so a lot of these right-wingers do. I don't know why. It's because they think college is like so horrible and blah, blah, blah. And they try to, tell you not to go to college. And so they go there to try to like, indoctrinate you back because they think colleges are indoctrinating you. My mom thinks that. After I went to college, I did become more progressive, it was a few years after though. Like while I was in college, I was still very much like a lib, but it was like a couple years after college, I started like becoming way more progressive and became a leftist. So my mom always likes to say it brainwashed me. And I always like to say, no, they just taught me critical thinking. This girl, she really just like, I really enjoyed her talking to Charlie, because I feel like Charlie and a lot of conservatives, how they debate is very not sincere. It's not sincere at all. They continually move the goalposts, like very debate lord stuff, right? Or like Jordan Peterson, where they try to manipulate words to mean something other than they are, and it's just not. It's just not in good faith ever. She starts it off talking about like feminism, and then he of course wants to ask her like, what is a woman? We're gonna talk about feminism. Can we agree on what is a woman, as like a way to try to negate her argument.
So I'm a feminist. My question is about the role of women, though. What should women's role in public and private life look like, and what are the material benefits of that?
Well, thank you for that. Can I take it? I don't even want to take this detour, but can we both agree on what a woman is?
Yes. An
is a woman?
adult human female, it's a biological state of being that is also socially experienced. Can I please elucidate just one example of that social experience?
Yeah, I was going to answer your question, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So let's say you're a member of a tribe, and that in that tribe, you have the biological female anatomy, and in order to become a woman in that tribe, you have to also get a tattoo. That's a social experience that's mapped onto biological.
And I loved her answer. I feel like she did really well, because I feel like a lot of people, this is an area where sometimes they don't have the best answer. She was like, I think it's biological and social. And I really loved her answer, and I've never heard anyone answer like that, and I really like that. Something I want to focus on though, Charlie Kirk is a Christian nationalist. And I feel like that's something that most people know. I feel like he's pretty open with it. He's not for women's rights. He wants people to have more babies, but who's having those babies, I think, is very important to him. White people. So yeah, just whenever conservatives or anyone like that say they want more babies, just know that they mean white people, and that's eugenics, and they think that we have some population problem. And I was just watching an Adam Conover video about this, but the whole world has a declining population. It's not just America. And you know what helps that? Immigration. But you know what he's against? Immigration. Because he wants a white ethno state. But yeah, he's a Christian nationalist, and I feel like he's pretty open about that. And Christian nationalism is religious fundamentalism, and it's wanting to control people, their bodies, and what they do. And like, he's against gay people, he's against trans people, and he wants to control your life in that way. Wives need to be at home, and the reason women are not happy anymore is because they have careers. And again, I think this girl, she did a brilliant job, and like had statistics and told him, and it was like, no, men are also not happy. And she mentions that it's because of the patriarchy. And the best thing I think she said was like, if I punched you in the face, my hand would also hurt from that.
So you're a feminist that actually isn't just fighting for women, you're also fighting for men.
So, yes, men also experience harms from patriarchy, but I argue...
We're talking about the same feminism, though, just make sure. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, men also experience harm from patriarchal domination, but I would argue that those harms come from that system of domination itself. In the same way, for example, this isn't a threat, but if I reached across and punched you in the face, then my hand might hurt, right?
I think that's a wonderful thing, because I think that a lot of conservatives don't understand. I think some have already come to this conclusion, but like, what they're going to have to reckon with at a certain point is, okay, now that you've done this crackdown on all these different people, your life is not going to get better. It's actually probably going to get worse. Your life is not going to get better. And so at some point, they're going to have to reckon with the fact that them punching people in the face is also going to hurt them. She does a brilliant job of like saying like, no, it's the patriarchy. Like, that's what's like, it is the patriarchy, it is capitalism. That is what's making us all miserable. Until we address those things, then nothing is going to change. And so then he starts, and this is my favorite part of this whole entire debate, is when he starts talking about, because like she's talking about like, okay, you want people to have babies, you want women to stay home, you want to do all that. But people in these other countries where that is what they do, they're not happy either.
As a side note, you would agree, objectively, study after study, survey after survey, that the women of the West that are married and have children, especially a lot of children, are far happier than even the ones that earn more money correlated at the same age.
Self-reported studies is a really flawed way to do psychology. If I took one of those surveys right now, I'd check extremely miserable, but so would a Palestinian child who's been torn to smithereens.
And he's like, oh, well, you know, the Muslim regime, the Muslim fundamentalists, and racist, just racist, just outright racist. But he goes to that, and I think it's interesting that conservatives always go to that. They always go, oh, Muslim fundamentalists, those countries are so backwards, blah blah blah. First of all, I think they talked about Iran at some point in the 70s and the 60s. They were much more progressive and had a much more open society. But then we got involved, and now they have like a fascist regime. You know, it seems to be us that wants the fundamentalism. And it's crazy to me that they don't understand that their ideals are the same. Charlie Kirk is also a religious fundamentalist. He wants to enact similar things. Like, you know, they want to get rid of no-fault divorce. They want to, like, they don't want gay marriage to be a thing. They don't want trans people to exist. They don't want women to be able to have careers. Like, they want them to stay at home and have babies and be the homemaker. They don't want women to have that choice. But she says, okay, well, are you not that? Is that not what you are? You are a Christian fundamentalist. Is that not what you're doing? Is that not what you want?
I would ask you, would you say that a sub-Saharan African woman who's experienced female genital mutilation and checks extremely happy in a survey, and I also would check extremely happy in a survey, who do you think would be objectively more happy, even if they both check the same answer?
No, again, so I fully, if you want to talk about how Islam mistreats women, we could talk all day long. Like, I'm all for that.
Me too.
Okay, good. So we agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
We actually have
agree on
agreement.
many things.
Then we should shut off Muslim immigration to the UK, right? We totally agree.
I think that all religious fundamentalism is bad, and if you take that logic, we should also not allow evangelical Christians into
Well, okay,
the UK either.
hold on. So hold on a second. Hold on. That's funny.
And the whole crowd just like roared. And I think it's because a lot of the times no one puts that back on Christian fundamentalists or Christian nationalists. Like, no one puts that back on them. No one is ever like, hey, but isn't that what you're advocating for? Like, aren't you advocating for the same things? You don't like it because brown people are doing it. And so you're going to be racist and say, oh, that's horrible. But you want the same things. So how does that mesh in your mind? That's my favorite moment. I love that moment. And I think it's great. Unfortunately, in America, Christian nationalism is very much rolling out. It's very much a thing, and it's very much happening in real time. And there have been some wins, in Oklahoma, the Supreme Court striked down a bill that wanted to use tax dollars to have the first religious charter school. And they said no to that, which good, thank goodness. I'm really happy they said no to that. I was worried about that. But in Texas, a bill just passed where they now have to display the 10 Commandments in every classroom. Now, it passed the House in Texas. It has to go back to the Senate, and then it goes to Greg Abbott, and then it would become law. The reason that it has to go back to the Senate, because apparently it was approved by the Senate, then went to the House, and it has to go back to the Senate, because they added a provision that the state attorney general would have to defend this if there was ever a lawsuit. And I think that's an interesting note. One, because Texans have to use their tax dollars to defend this crazy bill. But also because I think the purpose of a lot of these bills, just like the one in Oklahoma, is to go to the Supreme Court because they think the Supreme Court will be on their side. Now, Amy Coney Barrett has been a little bit surprising. She's been a little bit of a wild card in the Supreme Court, so I don't know how right they are anymore. We shouldn't trust her. I'm just saying. She also comes from a fundamentalist religious background. She recused herself in the Oklahoma case. And so I do think she's been a bit of a wild card for them. And now they're saying, should women even be Supreme Court justices? I'm just saying. A lot of the women who think that they're somehow going to be spared, if they collab with the fascists, that they'll be fine. You won't. you won't. They will throw you under the bus the minute they have the chance and the minute you don't go along with them. And so that's what Amy Coney Barron is dealing with. But there was a moment when they were debating this bill in Texas where this guy who is a Christian, he was like, okay, so in the Jewish faith and the Christian faith, these are our days of rest, and yet we're voting on a bill. So if you're not going to follow the 10 Commandments, why should everybody else?
What is the fourth commandment?
Keep the Sabbath.
Part of keeping the Sabbath holy is not working on the Sabbath.
That is, yeah,
What day is the Jewish Sabbath?
it is on Saturday.
And what day is it today?
It is Saturday. Here we are.
The Christian Sabbath is what day?
Sunday in honor of the day that Jesus rose from the dead.
And we're scheduled to give this bill a final vote on what day of the week?
It's ironic, isn't it?
Would you be willing to postpone your bill so that we're not breaking the 10 Commandments by working on the Jewish or Christian Sabbath?
I love that you said that because
You're saying that you'd rather tell people to follow the 10 Commandments than follow it yourself?
I would have rather have had this bill passed the other day when it was time.
We as a legislature are about to force every teacher in the state to post the 10 Commandments in their classrooms.
If
Do
they are
members
donated.
of the Texas legislature follow the 10 Commandments?
I love that. Like, and she was so flustered and she didn't really know how to respond. And I think that's great because I think a lot of this is like rules for thee and not for me. It's not about believing. There are regular Christians who believe it and follow it and are great people. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the Christian nationalists. I'm talking about the Christian fundamentalist or the religious fundamentalists that want to control, want to use that religion to control everybody else. That's what I'm talking about. And Charlie Kirk is one of them. A lot of people in Texas is one of them. In Missouri, in my state, there's a lot of that. We had a ballot measure to vote to not have a ban, and they reversed it. They said, F you, F your vote, we're gonna reverse it. So that's what they did in Missouri. And so it's not actually about like democracy. It's not about freedom, like they say. It's about control, and it's not about purity or whatever, godliness or whatever. It's not about that. It is about control. It is about controlling the masses. And that's what these bills are doing. That's what they're trying to do. And so I just wanted to talk about this because I think this is something we should be paying attention to. I think this is something that like we should know about. Like we should know about these news stories. Like in Georgia, there's a woman, she's 30 years old. Her name is Adriana Smith, and she is dead, like she's brain dead, but she has to keep a fetus, but she was pregnant before she was brain dead. And so now she has to carry this fetus to term because of the laws in Georgia. Her family is like, this is torture. This is crazy. Like her body is not her own. But apparently in this bill, it literally states that to limit the family's involvement in this decision if this happened. And so these are things that are happening. These are real things that are happening. And right now, I think a lot of it is happening in red states because that's where they can get away with it. But to be very clear, as we saw with Oklahoma, luckily that turned out okay. But as we saw with Oklahoma, there is a reason that they're doing these, even though they're unpopular. It's so it can go to the Supreme Court and they can try to have it like nationally. That's the purpose of this. And I think everyone should be aware, and I think everyone should pay attention. And I'm really happy that people are like demystifying this, but I do think that a lot of it is already coming to fruition, and I think we need to pay attention. Local politics is really important. I recently went to like an event and volunteered to help my community and help people in St. Louis who've been affected by the tornadoes, and that honestly that gave me it was really sad and it was really depressing because a lot of people have lost literally everything. A lot of landlords are kicking people out and condemning the property, and it's honestly probably going to be a huge land grab for capitalists, and I'm very upset with how this is going, and I'm not a huge fan of our current mayor. I don't think she's going to fight against that. But anyway, as depressing as it was, being there and like serving my community and like actually like being there helping people affected really, I think really like reminded me like this is what it's about. This is what it's about because the government was not doing anything for like the last 2 weeks. FEMA has just started coming, and they're only surveying the damage and they're denying people money. So it's like the government's not going to do anything. Our governor and Josh Hawley want to come out like they care. They don't. Don't believe them. But get involved in your community. Get involved in community action because that's where it matters and that's what matters. And local politics does matter, as you can see. So yeah, that's my little spiel. I just wanted to talk about this stuff. And yeah, so yeah, tell me what you think below. Again, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so it'd really help if you would subscribe and maybe turn on post notifications. And I also have a lot of videos and stuff in my membership. So yeah, all the things. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.